Here we go. Alrighty, so for whatever reason, this was not pulling it up. Alright, now that's pretty loud there. I'm gonna go back to limiter. From -7, I'm gonna drop that down to a -12.5. See like how much quieter that gets. I'm gonna go ahead and play a YouTube video in the background too. And the output gain, I'm dropping it back down to a -17.5. So that should, okay, it did do a little bit. So I don't like it that quiet, so I'm gonna bump it back up to -16.5. So right now it's at a -16.5, threshold being at -11, attack at 35, and release at 135 with the output and game at 16.5. And looking at the output gain, I'm dropping this down to a 7.5 as well. The release, I'm going to bump it up to 1,000. I just want to know what that does, the release. So right now the release is at 1,000. I'm going to go ahead and take that release and I'm going to drop it down to 500 now. So currently the release is down to 500. So the threshold is -12.5 and the release is at 500. Going back now, I'm bumping that release back up to 1,000. So the threshold is at -12.5 with the release at 1,000. Alright, I'm gonna put this gameplay on now. It's actually connected to my speaker, so I'm gonna disconnect that for the moment.
At SEMrush, we see that success has changed. One.
Just a little too quiet last time.
Let me slide cancel, let me. No, I don't want to go down, I don't want to go down.
Expander. The attack on the expander is at 35. I'm gonna bring that up to 100. I just want to know what that is.
Run back. Dead.
No, I got you on the back.
Dead. All of them dead. Wait, what?
On me, bullet.
We're dead, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Oh, it's over.
Wait,
So
10 seconds.
I still cannot hear myself over a lot of audio. I'm gonna drop the audio on the video down to 50%.
We're both camping in this.
The attack time is at 100. I didn't get to hear that. I'm gonna hear that now. Here in a second.
Where you guys want to regain? Spawn him?
Right here, maybe.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, I
still
will.
like
Okay.
just in and out of the building.
Alright, now I'm pausing it. I'm seeing the attack time at 100. So currently we got ratio at 2, threshold at -11, attack at 100, and release at 135. I'm going to go ahead now and drop that attack time back down to a 35. So threshold -11, attack at 35, and release at 135. So now that we know what that does, I'm going to go ahead and touch up the threshold. I'm dropping the threshold from -11 all the way down to a -50 to see what that does, and then we'll bump it up max here in a second. So a threshold is at -50, attack at 35, release at 135, and output gain at a total of -16.5. So the threshold being lowered actually made my voice louder. Let me look at this release time. It's at 135. I'm gonna bump that up to. Let's bump it up to. Was that 135? So we'll bump it up to 500. All right, now it is at currently at 500. So we got ratio at 2, threshold at -50, attack at 35, and release at 500. Alrighty, so that release time, it did do a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and bump that release time again up, this time to the full 1000. So we got threshold at -50, attack at 35, and release at 1000 with the output gain at -16.5. Okay, now that we have the expander kind of at an interesting point, I'm gonna go ahead and touch up the threshold. Currently we have it at 2.0, -17 for the, ratio at 2.0, threshold at -17, attack at 1, release at 175, and output gain at 7.5. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to adjust each one individually. Let me hear what it sounds like currently. Alrighty, so now that I heard what it sounds like, I'm going to move that threshold from a -17.5, and I'm actually going to drop it down first to a -50. So from -17.5 to a -50, we got ratio at 2.0, threshold at -50, attack at 1, release at 175, and output gain at 7.5. Okay, so dropping the threshold made it quieter. So I'm going to bump that threshold up this time to a -6 at the threshold. The attack time, I'm going to check that out here as well. So it's at 1. I'm just going to bump it up to 100, from 1 to 100, just to see what that sounds like. So currently we're at threshold -6, attack at 100, release at 175. All right, with the release now, okay, so that made my voice sound entirely louder. So I'm gonna bump that attack time again to 300, putting us at threshold -6, attack at 300, release at 175, and an output gain at 7.5 from distance. Threshold -6, attack at 300, and release at 175. Alrighty, so now that we hear what that sounds like, let's get some adjustment here on the release. So at the release, we're gonna bump it up from 175 to the 4,000. Let's just hear what that sounds like. So threshold -6, attack 300, release 1,000, and an output gain at 7.5. I'm gonna drop that output gain to mid here in the middle in 1 second. It's still at 7.5. Alrighty, with the release at 1,000, I'm gonna drop that down to 1, and the output gain I'm gonna drop to a 5. This puts us at a ratio of 2.0 with the threshold at -6, an attack at 300, a release at 1, and an output gain at 5.0. Let's hear what this sounds like. Still getting quite a bit of that background noise, so I'm gonna bump that attack up again to a 400, and I'm gonna bump that release up to a 100. So what this is doing is got a ratio at 2.0, threshold at -6, attack at 400, release at 100, and output gain at 5. All right, so now I'm gonna bump that release up to a 500 now, which puts us at a threshold of -6, an attack at 400, a release at 500, and an output gain at 5.0. Alrighty, now okay, back to the limiter. I'm gonna drop it from a -12.5 to a -15.5 with the release still being at 1,000. Let's see what that sounds like. Alright, I'm gonna go back to the standard suppression, not the one that is used by noise. So we're gonna see what this sounds like. So currently it's at Standard suppression, the one that's automatic that uses my CPU, is just now been turned on. So this is the one that is used by CPU. This is the adjustable one that I have to -60. Okay, back to the expander here. With the threshold at -50, I'm gonna bump this attack time up to a 60, and I'm gonna bump the ratio from a 2 to a 8, just to see what that does, what the ratio does. All right, so currently we have a ratio of 8, threshold at -50, an attack at 60, and a release at 1000 with an output gain at 16.5. And over to the compressor, I'm going to go ahead and move the ratio from 2 up to 12. So ratio at 12, threshold at -6, attack at 400, release at 500, and output gain at 5.0. Hmm. I'm going to, let me see what I can do here. I'm going to bump that release up to 1000 now. So this is a ratio of 12, threshold -6, attack at 400, release at 1000. I'm going to open up this VST plugin interface. I'm dropping the highs even lower and the bass and mids higher. So this is going to be another adjustment there. Everything else is the same as it just was. Now I'm going to bring the highs up just to see if that changes anything with that peak and like grumbling noise that's coming from my laptop. Yeah, it's a little too high. I don't like how high those are. Then you get start to hear a lot of the little wisps. So I'm gonna flatten those out at 0 dBs. But I'm gonna bring some of these mids down, see if that does anything. So bringing the mids down didn't do anything. So I'm gonna bring the last two on the bass all the way down. Keep these two flat. So it's kind of doing this kind of interesting snake kind of pattern with the two basses all the way down. Hopefully it just cuts that out entirely. Hmm. And it is still picking up on that grumble noise. All right. So the V2S is really more prioritizing my voice. Hmm. I'm gonna drop the threshold and the limiter down quite a bit now. So it was, I don't remember what it just was. I think it was negative 17. It's down to negative 25 now. Oh, yeah, it's still picking up on quite a bit. So I'm gonna bring that threshold back up to negative 7. Actually, it seems like the higher the threshold, the less it picks up. I'm gonna bring the threshold all the way up to 0, but the release I'm gonna bring to 300. Okay, so the threshold is at 0 and the release is at 300 at the moment. We're still getting that noise. Okay, now that I've gone back to the expander, I moved this expander threshold to a negative 25 and it is cutting some of that noise out. It is, however, starting to cause a little bit of a wisp. So I'm going to move that down to a negative 30 and try to find that sweet spot here. All right, so it's still not picking up on that grumbling like noise that my computer makes, but it might still make that wisp sound when I talk. We're going to wait and see. Oh, it is still getting that grumbling sound. So I'm gonna bring it up to a negative 20 from that 30 and see if this does anything. Oh, it's actually making my voice quite quiet. So from there I'm gonna actually bump up the gain. Yeah, so now the gain is at 0, just straight flat. And threshold is still at -20. So we got a threshold at -20, attack at 60, release at 800, and output gain at 0.0. With that threshold being a little higher, now I'm going to drop it back down to a -25. Now that the output gain is back to 0. All right, so we got a threshold at negative. All right, so now that we have that, threshold is at -25, attack at 60, release at 800, and an output gain at 0. That threshold is still picking up quite a bit. So I'm going to drop that threshold. Let's just see what it does when it's down to 40. Ratio at 8.0, threshold at -40, attack at 60, release at 800, and an output gain at 0. So the threshold is starting to make quite a funky sound. So let's move that threshold back up to, let's do a -15 now. Yeah, it's starting to pick up my headphone noise. Not a good sign. With it at a -15, it's cutting out a lot. Let's move the output gain up then. Output gain up to 10. So threshold -15, attack at 60, release at 800, and output gain at 10. Now my voice is getting real choppy, real choppy. Let's drop that release down to 500 from 800. So ratio 8.0, threshold -15, attack 60, release 500, output gain at 10. Attack is now going down to 30. So here we have ratio 8.0, threshold -15, attack 30, release 500, and an output gain at 10. I'm dropping that ratio down from 8 back down to 2 just to see if that does anything. So ratio 2.0, threshold -15, attack 30, release 500, output gain -10. With that, with the ratio up, it's actually starting to peak a lot. So let's drop that output gain down Down, 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 down to a 4. To a 4. And oh, we're still getting some highs there at that 4. So we're going to drop that down even lower to a 0. Yep. 4 was still pretty high. We're still picking up on quite a bit of noise. Drop it, the threshold to a -20. That attack time I'm dropping to 0 or to 1. Release time I'm dropping to 1 as well. Let's just see what that does. So ratio 2.0, threshold -20. Attack and release are at 1. Output gain is at 0. All right, the release time made a Alrighty, now what I'm doing is I got the attack all the way up from 1 all the way up to 100 and the release from 1 all the way up to 1,000. So ratio 2.0, threshold -20, attack 100, release 1,000 with an output gain at 0. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and move that release down to a 650. So we got ratio 2.0, threshold -20, attack 100, release 650, and an output gain at 0. It still seems like we got quite a bit of a. It seems like there's a lot of jumping going on here. So attack time from 100, we're gonna match it at 65. So that puts our ratio at 2.0, threshold at -20, attack at 65, and our release at 650 with an output gain right at 0. Now we're starting to get even more into those highs though. Alrighty, so now we have that threshold at -25, attack at 65, release at 650, and an output gain at 600. I'm still not liking how it's going into those highs a little bit. I'm going to adjust it here in a moment, possibly. I don't like how it's getting. I'm gonna drop the output gain. -3.5. 16.5 on the output gain. Alrighty, so now we got it at a ratio of 2.0, threshold at -25, attack at 65, release at 650, and an output gain at 3.5 negative, of course. Okay, I did a little bit more just now. I got the ratio at 2.0, threshold at -28.5, attack at 65, release at 650, and I also have the output gain. The output gain is now at -40, so we're going to redo it. -28.5 on threshold, attack 65, release at 650, with an output gain at -40. All right, so now I have the threshold at -27.5, attack at 65, release at 650, with an output gain at -4. Still showing a lot of signs of background noise. Putting that threshold back up to -25. So threshold -25, attack 65, release at 650, and output gain at -4 seems to be one of the best places for my vocal range. The compressor, however, is starting to give me a little bit of problems here. So I'm gonna drop the threshold on the compressor down to a -15. Okay. The threshold on the compressor did quite a bit. I'm going to drop it down even lower to a -17.5. So back to the threshold, the compressor, we got a ratio of 212.0, threshold at -17.5, attack at 400, release at 1000, with an output gain at 5.0. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's sounding nice. The output gain, I'm dropping it to 4.5. Just a small minor adjustment. So compressor ratio 12.0, threshold negative 17.5, attack at 400, release at 1000, and an output gain at 4.5. Back to the threshold, we're dropping it again from a 17.5 to a negative 18.5 with the output gain at 4.5. So reading it out, we got a ratio at 12, we had a threshold at 18.5, we had an attack at 400, and release at 1000, and an output gain at 4.5. Output gain, I just dropped down to 4.0 now. So we have a threshold at 18.5, an attack at 400, a release at 1000, and an output gain at 4.0. All right, I'm really liking how that's sounding now. It's sounding really clean. It's getting up to the mids. The Elgato here in a second should not go any past that except for maybe gunshots. And if that is the case, I'll just lower it down. We're gonna check this out here though. Sorry, that was really weird. I'm just trying to make noise. Max volume, I'm listening it to it back. I just realized a lot of people are gonna drop down that volume anyways. Mic work is really weird, guys. I'm gonna be honest. This is a lot. It's a lot of new stuff. I thought I saw that at like 3 for a second. That would have been really weird. I'm gonna go ahead and get into a quick private match that I'm gonna make. I just dropped the gain down to 1.5. I'm gonna be honest, just to see what that's like. I just dropped the game down back again to 1, so we're gonna see what that's like. And as for guns, I'm gonna use this one. I'm just gonna run it up. Quick little fake match. Let's just see what it sounds like.
Team deathmatch. You're clear to engage any and all hostiles in the AO. We've taken the lead.
Alright.
Slade. Loading.
Work. You know what? That gain, I dropped that game down to a 0.
Changing mags.
From 2 to just straight 0.
Changing mags.
My voice is clear. I'll give it that. But there's a lot that's missing. It's still very quiet. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the expander. No, I'm just gonna bump the game back up to a 1. Let's see what that sounds like.
Standing by.
Switching mags.
Still kind of quiet. Alright, I bumped that game back up to a 2, so it should be loud now. Alright, decently loud. We're gonna see. Oh my goodness. You're dead, buddy.
I take care of my people.
You're dead.
Targets down. Reloading.
You're dead.
Don't thank me. Just get back. I'm low on ammo. With you.
I'm gonna drop on my stream. Oh god, so even lower. To -13 from a 9, because I feel like the gunshots are just too loud. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3.
Changing mag. Enemy fighter here. Covering your 6.
Alright, I finally died. Your boy had time to run out of ammo, that's crazy. Wait, I'm liking how that sounds. It's a little smoother.
Loading. Switching mags.
Alright, I'm liking how that's sounding. That's sounding smooth. I'm gonna have to hit up,
Changing mags.
man, them gunshots is still really loud. Can I change just that? I'm gonna drop the effects volume down just a tad.
Reloading. Target destroyed. Loading.
Okay,
Last mag.
let's see what this sounds like.
Target's down. Attack me. Is that all you've got? Reloading.
So, alright, I finally died. You know what? I'm not mad at it. I'm just trying to get the game settings and the audio settings. Like, this is just all adjustments, minor adjustments. I'm gonna go in and change the others' voices and drop that down as well, because my goodness, it was so loud yesterday.
Switching mags.
This is nice. I'm liking this.
Changing mag. Slade. I'm taking fire.
There's no. Whoa, okay, I didn't see that guy right there. Boys, I'm not gonna lie. This is smooth. It's real smooth. I'm liking this. I'm loving the sound. Oh, he got me. This is nice. This is smooth. The audio's clean. Gunshots aren't overwhelming.
Target destroyed.
Sounds professional. No, it's not professional.
Changing
But
mags.
I got what I got. And it works.
Changing mag.
One minute remaining.
Oh yeah, boys. That's it right there. We're gonna go ahead and leave that. Talk a little bit more here. We'll probably come back here in a little bit.
Complete. Good work.
Well, and you know, probably maybe play when I get back from the gym. I was meant to leave dang near 2 hours ago, but I'm gonna go 6 to 8, come back, probably get into like 10, study until like 12. I'm gonna be up until 8 tomorrow. 45 and 4. I was carrying my team. I'm gonna go ahead and put some music on too. Bang. Now we got the music on. Oh yeah, this is nice. This is smooth. I'm gonna bump the Elgato up to a negative 12. No, negative 11.5. Oh, negative 12.1. Okay, so it's gonna have a little bit more oomph than it just did, but I feel like that's good. Just making sure my mic and everything sounds good. Everything's sweet. We're smooth, boys. I think we're in there to a degree. Audio is one of those things that's really hard to get down, because everybody's environment's different. Everybody's background is different. It sounds different. Audio's a tough one. And with music playing too, sounds smooth.